Okay, thank you, Jim. This is Bob D'Amico. I'm presently the chairman of the Northborough Scholarship Advisory Committee meeting. And before we get this, I hereby open this meeting, but before I even get started on the agenda, I have a statement that I have to read due to the circumstances of this remote session. So I'm just going to read it word for word on my other computer. This open meeting of the Northborough Scholarship Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16th, 2021. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the governor ordered suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in public accessible physical locations. All members of the Northborough Advisory Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Scholarship Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough remote meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comments. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative that you're here, okay? Kerry Thornton Genova.
Here.
Elizabeth Nolan.
Here.
James Kahungi, he's not on yet. And Vikram Verma.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, I got through that. Let's start. Let's see. I'm all right, where do I start? I guess so many things. Let me bring up the agenda. Let's start with that. All right. Oh, I gotta figure out Zoom now. Okay, share screen. And okay. And Liz, thank you for sending the proper agenda, as I was on the assumption we were still at 6:30. But you were right.
She had sent you something yesterday, and then I didn't see anybody respond, so I didn't want to lose our slot for the meeting.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for being attentive. I didn't see it until probably a few minutes after you had posted. But anyway, I wanted to introduce you guys. I'll start with myself. I'll introduce myself, but I want everybody to have a chance to say a few things and why you're interested in the committee. And then I want to go into a little bit of the history and background. I won't take too long on that, on the scholarship committee and how we select scholarships. And that will cover, the application requirements, advertisement, distribution, and the process selection. And then I have a treasury report, which basically tells you what we have. And then I'm going to go through the responsibilities of the chairman, treasurer, and I call it an admin or a secretary. We don't have one right now. Actually, we don't have any of these positions right now. So I'm hoping that think about it for the next 30 minutes. If you're interested in one of these positions, we can have, even though it's not on the agenda, we could have an election and have a new chairman, treasurer, and an admin. The admin secretary is kind of like someone who would take the minutes or interface with the selectmen, or what else would they do? I guess I got a giant. Let me pick this up. I got a lot of notes here. This is only part of it. These are all thank you notes and everything. So I got a lot of stuff. So if anybody wants to go through it, and actually, Liz, I know you're interested in minutes, and I found some more minutes from way back when they were looking at different businesses. So that might be something you might be interested in. But anyway, get back on track. And then I'd like to have a future date commitment on when we could have the actual selection process, and which kind of leads me to, let's see, do I have it on here? You guys can still see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Let's see, where is it? Oh, I have to go into here. Go into here. Okay. And then I'm going to go into this application and some of the details. Now, when I hand, this is probably going to be one of my last meetings. So when you guys can take over and improve it or go in different directions or whatever, as long as you're within the guidelines of the town requirements, I'll be there to support you till the end of April, but I'm ending my term in April. So I'm glad that you guys are all aboard, and I'm very happy. And I think you guys will do a great job. So I don't know, I sent this out a while ago. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but it's actually the application that I will be sending probably tomorrow, if you guys are okay with it, to the schools and to the town. And it's basically any student that lives in the town of Northborough can pick this up and read it and fill out. And as you could see, actually, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Why don't I take a pause and why don't we go around, like I said, and stick with the agenda? Let's introduce the new members first. That's why I'm retiring. All right. So I'll start with myself. My name is Bob D'Amico. I'm actually an engineer at Cytiva Corporation, and we actually build reactors and mixers and all sorts of things for pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and so forth. So we're obviously very busy with the COVID epidemic. And how I got myself involved in the scholarship committee is when I was a selectman, I guess back, when did this thing start? 2003 or something like that. I was actually a town selectman at one time. And one of the assignments I had was to be a liaison to a committee, and the scholarship committee. So I kind of found myself in that and I enjoyed it. And I think it's a really fun thing to work with, and I'll get to the details on how we do the processes and everything like that. So let's go to the top of the list. I see Vikram. You want to introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, hi, I'm Vikram. I've been in the town of Northborough for around 14-15 years now. Both my kids went through the school system here. So I'm interested in contributing to some kind of service to the town. Since I have time on my hands now. So yeah, I don't have to ferry kids anywhere or anything like that.
Now you live down the street from me, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I know. I recognize. I thought I recognized the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get out of the house since COVID. So.
So yeah, we haven't met personally, but this better late than never.
No, that's great. I wish we could meet today. I really do. I'm kind of sad about that. I got a whole bunch of stuff here I could show you and things, but it is what it is. All right. Thanks, Vikram.
So
Carrie, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Carrie Thornton Genova. I live on Davis Street in Northborough. My husband and I have lived here. I think we bought our house about a decade ago. I have a almost 6-year-old son who goes to Proctor, and he's in kindergarten this year. I'm a public school teacher. I teach in Hopkinton at their middle school. I'm a 6th grade science teacher there, and I'm involved in a scholarship committee in Hopkinton.
Oh, great.
And yeah, now that my son is in public schools here in Northborough, I want to become more involved in Northborough committees because I find myself spending a lot of time in Hopkinton where I work with those kids. But I wanted to split my time now since, again, my son is now in kindergarten. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited we have a quorum because last time I was on here, we didn't have a quorum. So that was exciting for me.
But I found out you're the one with the tall mailbox, right?
Yes, I have the tall mailbox on Davis Street, right by where Davis crosses Route 20, about a mile from the Wegmans. That's yep.
Yeah, the one that says taxes and has
yeah, that's us. That's my house.
That's great.
So I'll be dropping all this information when we go through the scholarships in the top box. So.
Yeah, put it on right up high. I'll get it.
All right. Thanks, Carrie. Liz.
So I have been a resident of Northborough for 16 years. I have 2 sons. One's 19 and one's a junior actually at Algonquin right now. I've always been involved in a lot of volunteering. I founded, Northborough Moms, which is a great resource, as well as community outreach. Been, PTO president and involved with the Special Education Parent Advisory Council as well. We've always done fundraising in a lot of those capacities. And I've also helped with the PTO at the high school for their scholarship committee. So this was just something I've been wanting to do without having a huge time commitment, something for the town. So it kind of seemed to work out well.
Oh, that's great. All right. You guys, sounds like you got a lot of good background. That's great. Okay. I should probably ping James, but that's all right. He's been with us, James Kahungi's been with us for about, I think, one term, 3 years. So, and he knows a little bit of the background, but like I said, I'll be here to make sure that you guys get off to a good start and we have a good transition. Which brings me to the background. Scholarship committee started in 2003. Like I said, I was a selectman and I got put on the board to monitor it. And the person, Greg Young, started with a bunch of really inspiring people that created the scholarship committee and did a lot of really good things. And what they did was they created the whole baseline for what we're doing right now. And one of the fundraisers that we do, and you might see it on our tax forms, is that they created a line where it says you could donate to the scholarship committee when you pay your real estate taxes. And that's been one of the long-term fundraisers. And I could go into the long history of all sorts of different fundraisers that we try to do. I used to work for Bose Corporation. We try to hawk, and raffle off Bose equipment, but that wasn't as successful. But later on, one of the members, when Greg and his entire group kind of left after a few years, one of them stayed, and that was Lori. What's her last name? Lori Klein, and she ran it for a couple of years. And we had a member named Margie Bavesky, and she came up with a great fundraiser for us at Apple Fest, which was a bouncy house that maybe you had your little kids and you went to the fireworks and you saw, you for a couple dollars, you could get shaken baby syndrome or whatever in that thing. And so they got so that was very profitable. We did pretty well. I think we made about $1,200 the first couple of years, but then things got caught on, and all of a sudden more bouncy houses were there, and now our margins were cut in half and we're down to 600, and you could see it was scaling back and it was kind of hurting us. So we've done a lot of other things that we tried, but they haven't really. They maybe get us maybe $100 here and there, and I'm not too sure if it's worth it with such a small group. I was a Boy Scout leader and I had tons of kids I could recruit to do fundraise, but with 4 people, it's a very limited thing. But I see that a couple of you guys have got that experience, and that's great. And maybe you could bring some fresh ideas and blood to the group, because actually probably a few years ago I ran out of ideas to keep us going strong. So a matter of fact, we kind of fell on hard times for the last 3 years. 3 years ago, they canceled Apple Fest because of I can't remember if it was the Zika virus or it was some kind of mosquito-borne thing that they canceled the fireworks that day. So we had to cancel all the things, and so we didn't have any money, so we canceled. That's really our only fundraiser, our main fundraiser. And then, of course, the last 2 years, coronavirus kind of hurt us. So we've been kind of stuck, and I haven't been very good at coming up with anything or getting kickstarted. And last time I talked to Kerry, which was probably several months ago, I says, we could use some new ideas and try to get things going. So that's kind of where we stand at. I'm gonna skip to the Treasury report because I think you guys might be interested in this a little bit, and then I'll go back to the scholarship committee process. Right now, I tried asking the town accountant, and as of April 8th was the last time I talked to him. I tried to get another one ready for this meeting, but I didn't get it. But we had $1,152 in our account. So that's good enough for, at least a couple of $500 scholarships this year. I think we can at least get started, with the process, and I could go and show you how we do the selection process. So, and that's what I want to cover right now. So let me go back to the application. Is there any questions up until now? Okay. Okay. I don't think you're falling asleep. You guys look like you're still. All right. Here's the application. All right. So I put this together. I'll email it out, or I used to hand deliver it, but the way things are now, basically.
You're not sharing the application.
I'm not?
No.
Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. What have you guys been watching then?
We see
Meeting
the
agenda.
Oh, okay. It's my inability to understand. So it says, oh, your screen sharing is paused. So okay. So you've just been watching me talk then, right?
Yeah, and watching the meeting.
Okay. All right. I use Teams, so I'm not familiar. Can you see the screen now? It says you are sharing screen.
You're seeing the meeting agenda. You have to
Okay.
stop sharing and then share a different window.
Oh, I got to stop share. Oh, I see.
And now you can share a different window on your computer.
Oh, that's not convenient.
Instead of meeting agenda, you have to.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Choose the application when you share.
All right. Share screen. Where is the window? Okay, I see it. So you didn't see it before then, probably.
Only in the email.
Okay. Can you see it now? All right.
Now we do.
All right. I'll get there. By the end of this meeting, I'll know how to use Zoom. All right. So let's see. Very simple. The way what we ask for, and before I even get started, when we select one thing I like about the scholarship committee is when we go to select a candidate or a recipient for the award, it's not necessarily that they have the highest scores and they're valedictorian or anything like that. I mean, that's good, but if you ever go to those what's it called, those meetings at Algonquin, one of you have an older day, they give out scholarships basically to all about the same people because they're all at the top. This one is a little bit different. So I kind of look at it as like a four-legged stool. It's like we look at grades because that's very important. We want someone that we know that's gonna do well or is gonna do something with their lives. The other part is we like to see extracurricular activities. Like it's not the only thing that they did at school, is that they did other things that they participated in. We also look at things like the EFC, which is their student aid. Sometimes they give us too much. We only want to see how much they make a year, but we want to see what their EFC is to get an idea if they're more needy than maybe someone who has the same kind of scores and like that. And the last thing is, because we're a community organization, we like to make sure that they're community oriented, that they volunteered, let's say, to river cleanup, or volunteered at their school or church, or volunteerism was like what you guys are doing, taking some time out of your day to help the community. And so that's what the Northborough Scholarship is about, at least in my opinion. And it could be interpreted by anybody who looks at it, but that, in your own way, because and you guys are going to be the ones deciding it. And I'll get to that. So we asked for a few things, like the list of schools of which you apply, the high school transcript. All right. I guess if they're homeschooled, a homeschool letter. Letter of recommendation. So these are kind of all standard stuff that they would have to do for most all scholarships. Their EFC of the federal student aid report, and that is, if you're familiar with that, I know some of you have young kids, probably haven't gotten to that stage yet, but there's a student aid report that all the high schoolers have to fill out, and kind of gives them a student aid so they could apply for. I think it was called FAFSA. I can't remember.
FAFSA. It's
FAFSA. Yes.
Expected family contribution.
Yeah. So it's been a while. My kids are in their 30s, and so I forgot all that stuff. But anyway, We asked them to write an essay, and I'll get to that in a second, and a list of extracurricular activities. So, and they could return it, and we have a mailbox in the selectman's office at this address here. So as I scroll down, so I wrote down that I'm going to, unless anybody objects, I'm going to hand this over, these copies to the high school. It's obviously open to any Northborough resident. So if they're going to, let's say, St. John's, they can apply, that kind of thing.
In which year can they apply? Junior year, senior year?
They would be applying now to college.
Which grade? The juniors will
But
be
they're
applying?
seniors right now. So the
Seniors.
seniors could apply for this.
Seniors apply.
I haven't had any juniors, so it's really kind of up to like places like Algonquin who they distributed it. But I think they've been basically handing it to seniors.
One more question that I had
Sure.
was that there are these 6 parameters on which they will be evaluated.
Mhm.
Is there a weightage on any of these?
No.
Because
It's all subjective to what you feel.
because
So,
I was thinking, suppose someone is going to a very expensive school, and the EFC is very high. Uh, do we still choose that candidate over
yeah,
someone
you can.
who's going to a community college, and that $500 or $1,000 will go a long way for that student?
Yeah. It's who you feel, and when I'll get to that point, what it is, and I could talk a little bit about now, is that you may want to select, oh, this is the best person I have, or maybe you have 2 or 3 people that you really think they deserve a scholarship. It's really up to you, because sometimes you can't decide. There's maybe 2, so we could discuss it at when we get to that meeting. Discuss it. How do we want to break down the meetings? But and I'll get to that. But yes, you can do whatever you feel that is appropriate in your mind.
Okay.
So don't let me hamstring you in a decision that says, oh, you have to do it this way.
Yeah. Because sometimes the best student may not be may have a family environment and everything
Sure.
that enables that student, but there's another one who does not have that good grades, but it's because of the family conditions, and the EFC
There,
is
yes, we've seen that a
very
lot
low.
too.
It,
Yeah.
it
We've seen some
shows.
hardships. We've seen some
Yeah.
hard cases, and we've seen some and it's not one person that decides; it's the whole group that decides what they want to do.
Okay.
And we'll get to that. So I was looking for one sample. I don't know if you could see. I don't know, but basically, this is a packet of one student from back in. I just happened to pick 2015, but about a packet that we may receive. Actually, there's a couple of them here. But when we get to that point, I'll see if I could get a close up here. Unfortunately, we're not together. Completing application transcripts, yes, and rather postmark no later than April 2nd. But if they show up at town hall on April 4th, that's fine. And then we reject anything that's late, because in that time when we have our meetings sometime, and we'll decide that today in mid-April. I don't know when school break is, and maybe you don't want to meet at school break, or you want to meet on a different time. We'll decide that today. On when we can meet and make those decisions. All right. And so they just signed it here. And so this is the 6 parameters. So they list the schools, transcript, letter of recommendation, EFC, and then actually in red here, it says, we don't want the page that lists your family financial assets and income. And then we asked for an essay of about 500 words or less. And then just a small summary of extracurricular activities. So I don't know if there's any questions on any of that. Oh, actually, we do include SAT, ACT scores too. Go ahead, Carrie.
I just had a brief question about the essay. I noticed that right now it's a very general essay topic. Like you say that you can submit something that you've already written for a previous college application, or basically something you want to know. as a teacher, I always think that's kind of hard to compare apples and oranges. Has there
It
ever
is.
been something where you give them a topic? And I was just thinking, because you mentioned how, community volunteerism and community orientation is really important for this scholarship.
Mhm.
Have you ever given them a very general but community oriented topic? Maybe something about how Northborough has made you grow, just to make it so we're comparing like to like. I just thinking from a teacher's perspective.
That's a very good idea, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. I like that idea. That would be good. It may be late for this one, but maybe that would be applied to the next one if you guys decide. That's actually a really good idea. So everybody's focused on one topic, and then you could gather what their opinions are. I don't know how everybody else feels.
It could be broad. I was just thinking, like,
Mhm.
you might have one
Right.
student pulling from an essay from, a community college application, and one pulling from another very specific engineering college application. And that can be hard to judge, especially with a 500-word limit. So I was just wondering if that's ever been done before.
No, it hasn't, but that's a good idea. I like it. I like
That was
that
actually
idea.
one of my suggestions as well.
Oh,
Because
okay.
having done some review of applications for scholarships, I do think that kids need a little more specific question involved, so that they can focus on what they're writing about. Otherwise, you're going to get
Everything.
you're
Yeah,
going to get something
we-
from different from
we do.
everybody.
And we do. We get, and they're really interesting reads, to be honest with you. But yeah, it is all over the place. I mean, I don't know if you. I mean, I don't have to submit this today. If you come up with an idea that you want to maybe put into this, I could do it. Put it in, and then we could send it out. It doesn't have to be the second, but if you guys want to think about it, you think you might like to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we could fix number 5 to read what you like, and you have a copy of this. So if you like to put something in, yeah, that's great. I actually like that idea.
Okay. I had a second question too. Sorry, I don't know if
Sure.
that's
No, go please.
The
Anytime,
letter
just ask.
The letter of recommendation, I notice it's open to someone who knows you well.
Mhm.
Do we have any parameters on what the letter of recommendation can say? Because I've seen letters of recommendation that are one line, I recommend this student, and that's not giving me information about the student, but it's not the student's fault.
Right.
So I was just wondering, is there any guidelines on what the letter of recommendation says, or is it the type of thing where it checks a box? Because again, since it's coming from an outside source, I don't want to judge a student based on that, but you might get a letter of recommendation that tells so much more. And
Sure.
then you get one that's this one. Liz, did you have the same thought when you thought, yeah.
I did.
I guess the
Actually,
thing- Mhm.
I also wanted to point out, it says someone who knows you really well. Maybe we can say other than like a family member,
Right.
Yeah.
because otherwise, you're going to ask your mom.
Right.
True.
But I think that is important, as well as what Carrie was saying. I agree.
I think the breadth of what that sentence is basically saying is that, these kids already have letters of recommendations when they apply to school. So they probably, even though they probably don't know that they're not supposed to know what those letters of recommendations do say but they probably got a good idea who their favorite is. So I would think they would probably send that one over. But I think all your points are right, and we could change that one as well.
Maybe if we even just amend it to, you can use one from a previous application. I'm just thinking of a kid who, I'm sure you've seen it, where they ask someone really fast and the actual letter is so brief, whereas there could be something in their application that makes it stronger.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Some people take their time and write a really good letter of recommendation, and that's great for the kid. So some people, they just have a boilerplate. So I understand what you're saying, and that's good.
I also have one other comment on including the SAT and the ACT scores. So many colleges now, those are optional to even include in their college applications. So I just was wondering, is that necessary to include in this necessarily?
Probably not anymore. I think that times have changed. This is a very old application, and then we've just been basically updating the year. We haven't really thought about things like that. But I do know that it is true. They're making it optional, especially the last few years.
Right.
So we could take that out. I mean, if you guys, I could start editing, but I don't want to take up meeting time on this. But if you want to make edits to this document and you all have a copy, right?
Mhm.
That I said, yeah, just put, you could do, the comments thing or edit it yourself. And like this, we could just, delete this type of thing. Just get that out of there. And then, I could send it out, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. It can be any time this week, So if you guys got good thoughts about how to do this, that would be great. I appreciate both your comments. Okay. So that takes care of, we'll cover application requirements, advertisement. Okay, so advertisement, we advertise in online. So we let people, there's a message that goes online by the town that says there's a scholarship available. And let me see. Okay, let's go into the process of selection. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so you could all see me, or is it just a 5-block thing? Okay, so what I do is once this is submitted, once all those 6 items are submitted to me, there has to be someone, and I've been doing it. I haven't been selecting it. What I do is we black out the names so nobody knows who's what. Now, I know all the scholarships are different, but this is the unique thing about this scholarship. So, if there was a name here or anything like social security number, addresses, here's an Algonquin transcript. We just black it out so it can't be seen. So, and then I do that, and then I give a packet, and it would be a packet something like this, a packet full of it's a lot of paper. So there could be movement there, but there's and then you guys would decide without knowing their names or any kind of so you can just see their grades, even their recommendation. If it's mentioned their names, you can see that it's redacted. So you'll be surprised how many people do know, can figure it out. But if you know a lot of students pretty well. But here's an essay example, and I go through each one and actually I end up reading them all. So, but I don't make a decision because I know who all the candidates are. But you 3 plus James will be the ones that will go through these, and then you figure out, and then you'll say which one you want. Do you like 3A? I mean 3. Actually, it's A, B, C. A would be the list of schools. B would be basically that's all the 6 things anyway. And then you say number 3 is the one you would like, and then I would write the letter. But actually, I probably won't this year. But whoever is the chairman could write the letter that, hey, congratulations, you won the scholarship. Well, we have a boilerplate for that as well. So so that's really how we cover it. It would have been better if I could have shown it to you up front, but since we're not here, but I hope that was kind of clear. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's probably different than any other scholarship that you've ever seen before. And like I said, you can improve it. You could do, take it to a different level. If you don't like it, this is going to be your baby. So, so I like the suggestions that all 3 have made so far. So I appreciate that. Where were you a few years ago? Okay.
So I was wondering, we do fundraisers and so on to collect the money. The town doesn't contribute anything to.
No, we're an enterprise. We are totally separated. We're not funded or subsidized by the town. Though I was able to get $1,000 scholarship, $1,000 check from a company called Wheelabrator. I think it was Wheelabrator. It was the trash company. They contacted me and says, would you like that? And I said, yeah. And so so we got $1,000 to give out to kids that year, so an extra 1,000. So that's nice. That's a little bit luck and a one-time thing, but and I could go through the history. We really tried to get other people like the Chick-fil-A's and the Wegmans and all those companies that when he first came in here, because we heard their generosities and stuff like that. So we really did try, but our biggest fundraiser is that bouncy house, and then that has fallen apart. So that's kind of where we're at. But we do have the other fundraiser, and we have about $1,100 in there. Is there any other questions?
So out of curiosity, how much comes through the taxes, that, adding an extra amount to the taxes?
If I would estimate maybe about 500 a year.
Mhm. And do you think that could be higher if people, like, for me personally, like, my mortgage company handles that. So when, I get the
You
copy
wouldn't,
of the bill, I don't
Yeah.
even look at it.
Right.
So how
That's
many
right.
people are missing that isn't even an option? Or, I mean, to be
That's
honest,
right.
I didn't even know we had this as part of our town, this
Right. If
offering.
you have
I
an
didn't
escrow
either.
fund.
I
What's
didn't
that?
either.
I
Yeah.
did not either.
If you have a mortgage and you probably have your mortgage company
Yeah.
paying it monthly automatically, so you would
Exactly.
never see it.
That's ours
But
is
if you
too.
ever, but you should be receiving your tax bill at home anyway as a record. And if you ever looked at the tax bill one day, you'll see that there's a line there.
I
Doesn't
do
mean,
see it, but
Mhm.
now, in
Yeah, I know.
passing, I would just take it. It's like, well, I don't have to worry about it because my mortgage company is going to pay
That's
for
right.
it. So it's not, it's nothing that I would even have, on my radar. And I think a
Right.
lot of people might be in that same situation. So maybe
That's
bringing
right.
more awareness that this even exists. And I think there is a thing online that people can still donate online. Is that right? Through the website or not?
I believe so. I haven't looked at the website in actually a few years, so I don't know if they still do it, but they did.
Even
That
if
would be
people round up their taxes,
Yeah.
we'll get more money.
right. Absolutely. Yeah,
So I always just feel like you bring in more awareness that even exists and what it's used for and how this, just people might be willing to donate. I find
Yes,
people are very
yeah.
generous in this town in general. And I know businesses have had a hard time, but in any other year,
Mhm.
they come through as well. I think it's a matter of, some outreach.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. That's a good idea. I'm not too sure how to do that, but yeah, that's I don't, maybe you could do something on a website or something. But I don't know how many people watch. Like, I don't think anybody's watching this broadcast. But
It's riveting.
if they are, then they got some issues. But but
I
you know
know
what I'm
other
saying?
committees have, like a Facebook page and, they get a following for that. And, I think there are ways.
That's good.
connect
I'm not a
better.
social media type of person, but that if there's a way to do it on social media, that's a great idea.
I just think there's, additional ways to bring it to attention. So the town will send out something through their email. Is that what you said, to say, hey, this is available? And it also goes through the high school?
No, doesn't go to the high school, just to homeowners. So people in apartments don't even know about this or anything like that. Yeah.
So the high school doesn't help kids there know, like, this is available? Because I know they have usually a list of.
They have in the past. They have in the past, but I don't know. They changed. The person who's I don't even know who's in charge anymore. There was a woman that I was working with, and they would make announcements and things like that. So I guess it really depends who's at the helm over there. But once I talk to them and I says, "Oh, we got a scholarship," and they're all happy, and they'll say they'll make sure their students know about it. So I guess they have a guidance council area where the students go in, and the scholarships will be available there. But how much they let them know about it is a epic
Yeah, I'm
question.
not sure the process of getting that information on it, but I know kids have this computer program called Naviance, and scholarships are all listed there, and it's all accessible, I think, online a lot of times. And I guess that's one of my other questions is, I know this right now, this is all paper, but is that something in the future maybe to be considered too, is how can we take away the paper and just submit it online even?
That's a great idea. I just never had the time to think about it, put that together.
It's also the question of how many essays or how many recommendations a kid wants to get to apply for how many scholarships. So they have to pick and choose the big ones. They all want to pick the big.
Yeah, I don't think we disclose how much we give, because we've given out as much as $200 to $1,000 depending on what everybody decided.
Okay.
So as far as the award of the scholarship, depending on what is in the balance in the budget, that is just usually split into, one or two, or depending on what's in there. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, it really is. It really is the feeling of what everybody in that meeting wants to do. and we just come to a consensus and make a decision then. You know, and actually that will be you four, because you guys will be reviewing the scholarships. All right. And I think it's good for all of you guys go. Then next year, I guess someone will have to redact it, or you could go to a different method, you know. So we require everybody to have everything in by April 4th. So that usually gives them about you know, from January to April to put this together. And then about a week after I gather all the applications, and then I need a few days to do the blackouts, and then make the copies, send them out to you guys, and I'll eventually need all your addresses, so I could just drop it off in your mailbox, and then you guys will have a week, I guess, was normal. We get usually about, I don't know, we sometimes get 30 applications, and we've gotten maybe as low as 15, somewhere in there, you know. And then we'll have a meeting. So I don't know when is the best time. I don't have a calendar up, but I mean, if you guys want to meet on that, do you guys know when the April break is?
I do know, and I
The
don't.
week of the 18th
Yeah.
of April.
Okay. I mean, we're in no rush to make the decision. I mean, I could go to following week to have a meeting, because maybe you guys want to go on vacation with your kids or something. I don't know. Would be the 26th would be a good date. What do you think?
Mhm.
Sure.
Vikram, is that okay with you, the 26th?
26th of
April.
it looks like it will be okay at this time. I don't know about April.
Yeah.
It's
Carrie,
too far.
you think that's too late or too early? What do you think, Carrie?
I think that's fine. I think especially since we're all starting out, there's gonna, you know, we should start with something, right?
Right. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. So I'll schedule another meeting. So actually, now I'm going to cover the responsibilities of each position, and then I like to see if you guys are interested in any of these positions. All right. All right. What a chairman does basically is, you know, they have to schedule these meetings. You know, they have to write, and Liz, you saw the copy. It was basically an agenda. The agenda I showed you guys at the beginning of the day. That's submitted to the town clerk, which is Andy Dowd, and his assistant puts it on a bulletin board and maybe shares it online. So, and that has to be done a couple of weeks ahead of time, so people have, because it's really an open meeting, and that's one of the things about us is we have an open meeting law. So, not that we've ever had a visitor ever come in, but this is the ground rules that we have. And so, what are the other things? Okay, well, I don't have to be the blacker outer. I mean, that's what I call it. But you know, it could be anybody really. If the chairman wants to decide, they could be the one that doesn't black out, and you can pick some other person. But I've been doing it for everybody, so I'll do it this time around, so you guys get a chance to have the fun, really. Let's make the decisions. Actually, I've been doing a lot of stuff. I had a treasurer, so I kind of know how to do the treasury because he got ill, and unfortunately, I'm sad to say he passed away this November. But he showed me how to do the treasury stuff, so I know how to do it. And maybe it's better to sit down with that person to do treasury. But that's basically that you're interfacing with the town accountant. You tell them who you're writing the checks to, the amount, and so forth. And so it's not difficult, but you know, it's just basically, you know, someone who has to keep account of what our money is doing. Now, we also spend money, like when we do at a bouncy house, for example, we have to pay out money. So it's an expense. So we have to get a check, you know, and that has to go through the town. We don't just write the check. You have to go through the town. So, and those kind of logistics I could share with you when they do come up. But it's not that hard. You could just ask Jason Little, who's our town accountant, and he could walk you through it as well. One of the other things that the chairman does is, and I used to do that, like I said, I was a liaison, so I kind of set up we gave the scholarships out at the Board of Selectmen meeting, which the kids really liked. You know, they got to see the Board of Selectmen and they were introduced to each one and congratulated. In later years, we've just giving it to the awards night in Algonquin because we didn't have anybody, let's say at St. John's or something like that. So we just kept it at one place. But if we do have a St. John's candidate or another candidate from, probably the selectman would be the good time. And then you just have to contact the selectman's office or your liaison. I don't even know who the liaison is for the selectman's. I mean, not for the scholarship committee, but that person could set up a date, and you call back the kids and say, oh, can you make that date? And we'll give you the scholarship and the check and everything right then and there. And they'll be famous for 5 minutes. Yeah, like I said, I guess that's chairman, treasurer. The other admin stuff I have here, like I have files. I don't know what to do with them all. I mean, I have pictures. We took pictures of kids who got the scholarships, things like that, and share in the newspaper. That's up to what you guys want to do as advertisement and goodwill and whatever. I know I'm forgetting something, but there's that's about. I think that's a good coverage, and I don't want to inundate you with too much. And it's already 7:46. So is there any other questions? I mean, would you guys like to have an election today? Or is anybody interested in the chairman position, for example? Don't be shy. So if think about it. If you're not sure now. I mean, this, I'm trying to get out.
I'm not letting you go that quickly.
Yeah. Well, I feel a little guilty because I haven't done much in the last few years, and I really feel bad. And I says, we got to get new blood in here. I mean, I just don't have any more ammunition. I don't know what else to do. And I like the fact that you guys are all fresh with new ideas, and that's going to be great. Does anybody want to be the treasurer?
Everybody jump.
Just something to think about. I'm processing.
Okay. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be the second. We could wait till the April 26th meeting. You could decide then. But I don't want to say you can't decide now too. I mean, I'm leaving the door open right now.
No question. As of now, is the committee full, or are there still open spots on this committee?
There is open spots
coming up. So it sounds like we're going to be losing you, and then there's only 4 of us, right? At that point,
right.
Okay, so there are still open spots. I was just wondering.
Yes, we've never had more than 5, but I think we can go up to. And maybe you could quote me on it because I'm a person with bad information sometimes, but I think we could go up to 10.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah. I don't remember, but I think we can. But I'm just.
That's actually great. I know some committees are like 6, and if you have a fundraising component to it, the more people in hands, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I skipped all the stuff that we tried in fundraising because I didn't want to bore you to death. And then we tried it, and most of it's failures. But if you could always ask me offline or something like that, if we tried something like that, and that doesn't mean it won't work the next time. But that's something. All right. So if no one's interested right now, it's okay. I don't mean to put pressure on anybody. We'll decide on April 26th. And if we still don't have anybody there, you could just do it by committee, I guess. Right. Well, there's no harm in that. You could be all chairman and treasurer and admin, just like me.
Yeah, you've been doing it all.
Yeah, not very well. So I think it's time for me to set sail. We've given 50. It's been a good run. We've given over $20,000. I thought it was more, but it's $20,000 that we've given to about 50 different students. So it pays for their books. Books are a lot of money these days. If we give a $500 scholarship, that could be eaten in a freshman year. But You know, it's better than nothing. And a lot of these kids are grateful. And a lot of times these kids are not, like I said, not the valedictorians, but maybe they're not good enough to get the top scholarship. They get this scholarship and it feels good. And then maybe they graduated 50th in their class or something like that. And all the scholarships are eaten up by the top 10, you know? So
Right.
it's good.
I actually like that philosophy because
Mhm.
you are so right. It's the same names that cross the stage. And
I've been there. Yeah.
just because you have the top grades and you've been in all the AP classes or the honors classes doesn't mean that a B student can't be successful in college either.
Right. And you should see the letters I get. They're so appreciative.
Right.
I get these letters and it's like, you know, it's great. And we do get some people
Right.
that are very grateful. So it's
And the fact
it's really good.
And the fact that this is, a community scholarship, really, that, people from the community are contributing to it. I think, keeping it open to all students and not just, the top students and the people who are, the captains of their teams, it opens it up to more equity, I guess, if that's where
Right. Oh, we get backgrounds from just about every college. I mean, every major,
Mhm.
and it's really cool. So, and we've given them scholarships. We have given them scholarships. I feel bad that we haven't done it the last few years. So, but I think at least we'll give out a couple at least this year. So I don't know. I think I'm sure I should say more, but I don't know what to say anymore. So I'll leave it to you guys if you have any questions.
We're leaving it as that. We'll email you any.
Yes, please. If you like, well, I could pull it up if you want. We could do it now when we have about tomorrow, or we would. I don't want to force anything either.
No, I have the time. I'm not sure how other people feel, or if it's easier to do by email or not.
Yeah, I think we should do it by email. It'll probably give you more time to relax and get your thoughts down, and then we could share it with everybody. And if everybody's in agreement, I could just cut and paste, and put that in. I mean, I like that community aspect. That's a good idea. Things like that. All right. So I really.
Not to interrupt.
No,
so I've got those positions that I think I would probably be more comfortable doing the admin. Is that I'm assuming it's taking the minutes as well, but that would also be trying to bring more awareness to this as well. And is there any, protocols that are followed or need to be followed?
No, we don't have anything written. We don't have any written. I'm sure there are guidelines that the town says we have to, we have to follow Robert's rules of meetings and things like that. But we're kind of a loose organization. I mean, there's only 4 of us in this meeting, so it's not like I have to be strict about those kind of rules, and there's nothing written. So there's no procedure you could pick up and say, oh, this is how you do it. It's really,
so if we wanted to reach out to like Algonquin or even Assabet, because there's students from Northborough go to Assabet and let them know about it. That's something we can just do on our own. It's not like overstepping anything.
Yeah, I forget about Assabet sometimes because we have some, 20 or 30 students in Assabet too. So that it's available to them too, Northborough resident. Yeah.
Now the application, does it actually say it's for a high school senior? I know it says,
It
official
doesn't.
high school transcript, but I don't actually see anything where it says.
It doesn't say that. Yeah, it doesn't say that. But historically, we've only gotten seniors. So maybe the guidance counselors are saying only seniors apply, but we don't have it written on our application. Maybe that's something we could add.
But I didn't know, you don't want a freshman or a sophomore of college applying either.
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe
that hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean that couldn't happen. Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Put that down in your notes, and we could add that in there too. This is great. I really appreciate this.
I have another general question. So you mentioned that we're like a separate entity from town government. are we classed in such a way, like when someone donates money to us, do they get a tax write-off or anything like that? Or is it just the goodness of their heart? Like, how are we as a group classed?
I think it's tax deductible. I would think it
Okay.
is. So I think the answer is both. Out of the goodness of their heart and
You have to apply for the tax deduction, so I don't know if we.
oh, you do?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's
That's the
something we could look
status that you
into.
have to.
I mean, if you cut a check and say it's to the Northborough Scholarship Committee, you can't use that as a receipt that you made a
We
donation.
may have to check with the town accountant or whoever that is.
Mm.
I just assumed that it was okay, but
Yeah, there's if yeah, I don't know if the town of Northborough is and has that status or
I don't know.
Maybe
um,
that's something we could look into, because I think a business might be interested in, can I,
Yeah,
have
yeah.
deduction from this if we're asking for a donation?
Well, so then don't turn me into the IRS because I've I just assumed that we could use it.
that's the status you have to apply for, I guess.
It's not like a lot of money.
But there's other committees like community affairs that accept donations too. So I wonder how that is handled if
Right.
for these people. who
That's a
don't.
good question. I never really realized it. I just automatically assumed that you could do that, but no, that's a good question. I don't know. All right,
Do you want me to follow up on those questions?
Liz, do you want to do that? Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't mind. Yeah,
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah,
Thanks, Liz.
sure thing.
you'll get the next one, Vikram. All right. So it's 7:57. So it was 3 more minutes. I could give that time back to you, or if there's any other questions, we can maybe answer.
I know that once I think about this more, I'll probably have a whole list of questions and thoughts. Like I'm already thinking, like, it almost to me sounds like one of the first things we should do in general is maybe make a website or something, because then if we're reaching out to people, we can say we have a website with all this information and here's where you can go. We could have pictures of past winners and our scholarship recipients and
Yeah.
things like that. And I'm just thinking, like, if we're reaching out to anyone, it would be nice to have somewhere for them to go and find information about that.
I think that would be a good idea because, yeah, this way, and I think there's a site that's starting to be developed. I think we just dumped a whole bunch of minutes in there recently, but I haven't.
But where did they go?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even know where that site is, but it's somewhere. Liz
So I
knows where
know
it is. 'Cause I think
if
she's
you go on the town website and you go under committees and you go to the
Yeah.
scholarship committee, there is a page there.
Yeah, but that's
I'm
just
not
lists the
sure.
names, I think. Like it lists
Yeah, I'm not
our
sure.
names.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm
But you-
not sure if committees can have a separate website or not. I know from friends who are on other committees that has been an issue, and I'm not. So I'll
It
I'll
might
add that
be
to
that-
my list.
Yeah.
It might be that we have to go through the town. That might be one of those things. We can't have an independent.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that is a question you can ask, but I think we have to go through the town, and I think they prefer that because it is the town of Northborough Scholarship. So, and that might not be a bad thing because they'll take the liability and all that, for the site and all that. So,
Right. But maybe
And
they
it-
can arrange it and put that information, like Carrie had said too, like photos and just to have a little more information on there. I assume that people would be able to click on something and download the form as
Mhm.
well, right?
Yeah, that would be
And-
ideal. Sure.
I would
And
imagine that.
testimonials from the kids. as
Yeah.
well, not received.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know like the Northborough Affairs Committee, like the Community Affairs Committee, they have their own website. I don't know if that's connected through the town website, but I remember that's how I found like the Great Northborough Snowman Hunt and stuff like that. They have their own website, which my
Is
son
it
really
snowman
liked.
hunt? No.
Yeah, my son really liked doing it. There was snowmen at local businesses, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, if you got a certain amount
It
of
was
stamps, you got it was my son loved it. Oh my God, we went to
Oh,
Oh,
good.
yeah, I would
I-
like it.
I saw
found it
that.
through
I
their
went to the
website.
bank and I saw that.
Yeah.
That
It was great, and it made me go to places, but I found it through their website, which I'm not sure if it's connected through the town or not. But you were saying was like, Facebook and social media and stuff. So many people search for that now, and it's just it would pop up, even for donations, like a place, this is how you would
Exactly.
donate,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, I'll add some questions. So when I reach out, I will give them a list of questions.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. All right, time is 8 o'clock. Jim is probably, I gotta wake up Jim. Hey, Jim, you over there?
Our one.
I'm
viewer.
here, all set. I've been listening.
It's 8 o'clock. I guess it's time to close.
Okay, great.
And
Well,
if
it's
you have
nice
any
to
other
meet
questions,
everybody.
you email the whole group and we can work that way too. All right?
Okay.
It's probably against the rules, but that's all right. All right. Jim didn't. All right, Jim. I think we're all set. Is everybody all set?
Great. I'm not sure if you have to do a vote to
Oh.
close.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
Okay. Can I have a
Officially.
motion to adjourn? So just one of you say, I motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second,
Yep.
third.
Okay. Now I have to do it single, right, Jim? So all those in favor, I'll call your name out if you're ready to adjourn. Vikram? Yes or no?
Ready.
Ready? Okay. Kerry?
Yes.
Yes. And Liz?
Yes.
Okay, we're